Hi knitters! Welcome to the Wise Owl Knits Fibercast. I'm your host, Cheryl Beckridge, and I am here today to tell you what I've been doing craft-wise and design-wise. You can find all of my designs at wiseowlknits.com, and I'm Wise Owl Knits with 2 S's on Instagram, and I'll put everything else up here so you can find me wherever. Wherever you like to hang out. You can email me at cheryl@wiseowlknits.com if you've got any questions, or message me on Instagram. Those are the best 2 ways to get a hold of me. So today I am wearing one of my wildflowers. Just stand up here a little bit. This wildflower was knit with 3 different colors of fingering weight yarn. One is a Tuscan Knits, that's the green, and the other is a sock set from Sweet Mountain Crafts. So the pink, which is a pink variegated, and the green is kind of variegated slightly or tonal too, and then a solid purple. So the wildflower you can do in so many different ways. Like I said, this one's 3 colors, but you can do it in 4, 5, 6. Really, the sky's the limit. So why don't we just move on to knit-alongs, because the wildflower knit-along is beginning on March the 1st. The pattern is available right now at a 15% discount on my website. And there's an adult size pattern, which is what this is. And then there is a new pattern for babies, kids, and teens that just came out on February 1st. And both are on sale right now. So here's an example of this one is about a 4T. This one, can't remember which size I knit, but this is for my niece who is in 7th grade right now, and it may be slightly big on her, but that's okay. She's tall and thin. So this one is from a sock kit from Mystery Mouse Yarns, and she's got 3 different kits available on her website. This one is entitled The Little Princess. I'm sure a lot of you know, but all of the Mystery Mouse yarns are based on different books. So she's got another set, which I'll show you here, that's based on The Wizard of Oz. And a 3rd set that is Little House on the Prairie. I have a coworker who is a huge Little House on the Prairie fan, and she is a knitter, but she's kind of on the beginner side, but I'm pretty sure she ordered the Little House on the Prairie sock set and project bag. I need to grab my project bag real quick. This is the project bag, one of 3 options, and they are available from Delightful Work. Both Delightful Works and Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. are on Etsy, so check them out. Both links for their shops will be in the show notes. So these Susan's bags, Delightful Works bags, are just fantastic. They've all got some kind of interfacing or padding inside, so they stand up without you holding them up. They've got just a good solid feel to them, and just the right size for a wildflower project. I don't know that I showed. Here's the adult version that I did with some Knitting McPurley yarn. If you watch the Knitting McPurley podcast, Devin talked about this particular version of the sweater on her podcast, because all of the yarns are her yarns. So I think she's going to participate in the knit along with us, so that will be fun. So as we get closer to the beginning of March, I will get the news out there as to exactly where the knit along will be held, but it will be on Telegram, and I'll need to make a new Telegram group for that, as well as on Instagram, and I'll have a hashtag. But as we all know, the hashtags on Instagram don't really work very well anymore. So I will have a form that everybody can fill out once they get their projects finished, and I'll use the entries from that form to choose some winners. So we'll have some fun prizes for everybody that participates. I've got another knit along that's going on right now too, and that's the Solomon Poncho knit along. And the Solomon Poncho knit along started the day after Christmas, so December 26th, and it goes, I should know exactly what it's over. I think it may be the end of March. It's not a huge group participating in it, but there are some people that are faithfully knitting along, and their ponchos look great, and I am knitting along too, though I haven't made a ton of progress. So I need to get back to mine, but I was working on my other versions of the Wildflower, and the Solomon Poncho got pushed to the side just a little bit because of that. So those are the two knit-alongs that are going on right now. Both, knit-alongs are just fun, and whether you start and don't finish or you're the first one done, it's okay. You can finish later, but you still get the benefit of the camaraderie with the other people and just the community building. So join the knit-alongs. And I, of course, don't care if you double dip. You can be involved in more than one knit-along and do your entries to each one. No big deal at all. Okay, well, the next thing I have on the docket today is stash organization. And since I have been recording the podcast here in my yarn room /office /studio, I have been painfully aware that my stash that's behind me looked pretty crappy. I mean, not that it just looked messy. So I've redone a few of my cubicles that are just right behind me, and I'm going to do more. This one has Skeins, one of my favorite yarns, Skeins Kelly & Co. And I've got 4 different colorways where I've got a sweaters quantity. So I need to get making something with that. And that is one of the good things about organizing your stash is, sometimes you don't totally forget that it's there, but it's kind of you're not looking at it all the time, and you kind of forget what's there. Next to that, I've got my Cascade 220, which is something that I use often. I've done a lot of designs for Cascade yarns, so if you go to their website, you'll find some of my designs. And they've just been always so nice to work with, and if I want to do a design in their yarns, they are generally very generous in providing yarn support too. So Cascade is one of my favorite companies, and the old standby Cascade 220 is something I go to quite often. And then next to that, I've got some more skeins, which is the Skeins Southlander. That is what the Solomon Poncho was knit in. It's a rustic yarn. I've got both some bulky weight and some DK weight, but the DK weight is exactly the same size, the same weight and yardage as the Cascade. I'm back again. I had to delete a bunch of files off of that SD card. I have been doing a lot of recording what I'm doing on my circular sock machine, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I hadn't erased anything in quite a while, obviously, so I had a lot on there and I just had to delete some old files. I've already put most of that on YouTube, and you know, you can't save all of that because you're not going to go back to it anyway, or I'm hoping not to have to go back to it. If I have to start over with some things, then what the heck, that's okay. You just don't have enough computer memory or card memory to do that, to keep that all, unless you really want to spend a lot of money on it. And for something, like I said, that I probably won't look at again, it really doesn't matter. I can just delete and feel a little bit lighter, kind of like with my stash. So I'm not planning on getting rid of anything right now, because I've done quite a bit of that in the past couple of years, where I've rehomed yarns that I know I'm not going to use. Most of what I have now, I may not have specific plans for, but it's yarn that I love and yarn that I truly want to use. So hopefully I will be using it all soon. You can only do so much at a time. Along with straightening out my cubbies, which I've only straightened out 3 of them so far, and I've got quite a few more than that. So that's going to be my project this week, is kind of getting all that organized, and then I'll move to different parts of my yarn room and get that organized too. I've got, with my circular sock machine, I've got the sock yarn for that, but I also got a cone winder. So now I've got cones to store, and I've got to figure out where to keep all of that stuff. So, you know, you have a hobby that requires materials, and there's always going to be a storage problem. I also did some organization of my needles, and I've heard several podcasters talk about needle organization within the last few months, and I had made a comment to Devin at Knitting McPurley again that that my double points stayed pretty organized because I don't ever use them anymore. I generally do magic glue. So I got some boxes. I'll just show you here. Hang on. I got 2 of these, which is an outer container, and there are some smaller containers inside. There's 6 smaller containers. So this box goes from a size 0 or 2 millimeter up to a size 5. And then my other, these boxes have both double points and circulars in them. So I've just got these 2 containers in the bottom of my closet here, so I can get to it easily if I need them, but I honestly don't use these that much anymore. I do have some flexi flips, and I have those stored separately, and they come in the nice little tubes, so they stay pretty organized. I don't have multiples of the flexi flips like I do of my 16-inch circulars and my double points. I have more than enough of those, and if I need to let somebody borrow some and I don't ever get them back, I probably won't know the difference. So that is my stash organization for the moment, stash and supplies. I'm making some slow and steady progress on that, and honestly, you can, put this back down on the floor. You can come up with any method that you like and you do your best to find something that works for you. But the biggest thing that trips me up anyway is when I'm done with a project is putting my tools back where they belong. And that doesn't always get done. I try to have one place, I have one little basket that if I don't have time to put something away right then, and I always have time, I just don't take the time to do it. But if I, for whatever reason, don't put it away right after the project, at least I put it in that one basket, and then hopefully somewhere down the line I dip into that basket and put them all away. That is the plan. Whether I can stick to it, we'll just see. It's always a lot easier said than done. My next topic today is new designs. And I've got something percolating around in my head. And I've had this yarn for a little while. Need to get the contrasting color. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of ducking down today. I thought I had everything easily reachable, but obviously I didn't. I've got this yarn from Revolution Yarn, and I've got enough, it's a DK weight, I've got enough for a top-down colorwork sweater, long sleeves, and I want the design, and I've just been working with this in some charts, and I don't have it totally down yet, but starting at the top in a circular yoke with cables, with color work, and with a little bit of lace. So the blue will be the main color, and the white, and it's a white speckled, I'm sure you can't see that well, but just light speckles on it, so that will be the contrast color and the color work. And the cables will be in the blue, the color work will be in both, and the lace will be in the white. So you can watch for my progress on that in the next month or so, but hopefully I can get that all developed, and then we'll be able to release that pattern by the fall, so before the winter season. I will link Revolution Yarn in the show notes. She's a small dyer that has lots of gorgeous yarns. She's been doing, I've been watching her on Instagram a lot lately. She's been doing a lot of thrummed mitts or mittens, which are so cool. And I have not, I did a thrummed, like a muff that was just a tube, and I did the thrumming on that I made a gift for a friend of mine, but I haven't actually ever done the mittens, and I would love to do that. So if you're interested in that, look at Revolution Yarns on Instagram and you'll see those. But go check out her website too. She's got lots of beautiful things. She is in Canada, so if you get a sweater quantity, just make sure you look and make the right choices. When I ordered this, I picked something that I shouldn't have picked, but I didn't quite understand. So just read when you're ordering. But she's got lovely yarns, and I know you'll be tempted to purchase some. Okay. What I've been working on. Mostly, I've been working on a green baby blanket, which I've shown many times, so I'm not going to show that again today. It's a cable pattern, and it's the same cable pattern as the Solomon poncho. So it's an all-over cabled baby blanket. It's in some acrylic yarn, and I will write up the pattern for that once I get it all done. I think I'm finished my 5th repeat, and I'm on my 6th repeat of the cable pattern. I think I'm going to go through the 7th repeat and then do the top border. So it's got a moss stitch border that is around the entire blanket. So been working on that. Not done yet. I've been working on lots of socks, and I'm going to put up a picture of my friend Lisa in her socks that I just gave her on the weekend. I made these socks for myself, and I really like these. They're like 5 different yarns in this pair of socks. So I figured you get lots of little leftover bits of yarn when you're making socks for people on the circular sock machine. So I just put a bunch of different things together and made myself a pair. So I plan on doing this a lot for myself and my husband. We'll have lots of crazy socks. One thing I should mention, and I may have mentioned this before, I've been putting my sock videos, my CSM, circular sock machine videos, on my regular YouTube channel, and it was getting, I don't know, it seemed really clogged up. So in my organization frenzy that I've got here now, I decided that I would make a separate YouTube channel for my circular sock machine, and it's called Wise Owl Knits CSM. So if you want to watch me crank, they're over there. They're kind of fun. Really, I think it helps me more than anything else because I have to talk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and that helps me remember what to do, and it also helps me learn, because I'll go back and look at them later and see what I did right or wrong. Or a lot of times I make mistakes and I have disasters. Maybe not disasters, but I make mistakes. I do something wrong. I cause the machine to get jammed up with yarn. I just, it is truly a humbling thing to learn a new skill like that. And I'm not the most engineering minded person, but it's been really fun to crank the machine and watch what it's doing and figuring out why something works and something else doesn't work. Just like what yarns to use, what yarns seem to work the best. I've been putting this off, but last weekend I said I'm going to try to use the ribber, which the first part of just cranking a sock was really intimidating for me at the beginning, but now I've got that down. I know how to make a cuff on it with a hung hem and make the leg and then do the heel, go onto the foot and crank the toe, and I still make mistakes at that, but I know what's supposed to happen and I know how it's all supposed to work. The ribber is like totally starting all over again, and it's just truly, I'm sure, very good for my brain, but also very humbling because there's just so much I don't know that even if I go on to some of the forums and ask people questions, I don't necessarily know exactly what to ask yet. So I thought, well, I'm going to start making some tubes. And I made this tube on the ribber, and it is 3 needles in knit, 1 needle in purl. And for the most part, that worked pretty well. There are some mistakes in that. Then I did a 1x1 rib, and there are more mistakes in this. There are areas where a needle didn't knit or purl or do what it was supposed to do. But at least I got some fabric and I can tell what it's supposed to look like. So this I did on my 72 stitch or 72 needle cylinder. So that's a 1x1 rib. At a 3x1 rib, you can tell it's a bit wider. And then compare that to these socks. which I did on my 64 stitch cylinder with a mock rib that pulls it in a little bit. That's wider yet, but it doesn't have as much stretch. And then looking at the foot, which is 64 stitches, no ribbing at all, and you know, look at the difference in width of those two. So less stitches, more stitches, but the ribbing just pulls it all in. Now there is another step that I haven't even thought about it, because I know that it makes socks stronger, but you can add Lycra to the socks, and it's just a small little thread that you knit right along with your sock yarn. Apparently, if you make a mistake, it's really hard to fix with the Lycra, and it's hard to pull things out with the Lycra. That's what I hear. I don't know. And then you've got two things in your mast. So sometimes part of the problem with the sock machine is the yarn that is coming off the cone or the ball gets jammed up, or just, it doesn't take much to cause the machine not to work smoothly. So if the yarn gets hung up just a little bit, then it causes some pressure on the yarn, and then the cylinder doesn't want to turn, and so you've got another element in there, because you've got the Lycra plus the yarn, so that's more possibilities for something to go haywire, and it probably will. So once I get the ribbing down and I can make a sock with ribbing, then maybe I will add some Lycra to it, and I can get some socks that will even last longer. That is the plan anyway. Okay, I do have a definition this week, and that is something that I heard on the Office Ladies podcast, and it brought me back to a conversation that I was having with my brothers and sisters. My brother, I don't have two brothers, I only have one, my brother and my sister. We were talking about fonts, and both my brother and my sister are teachers, but my sister is a high school math teacher, and my brother a university art professor, not math. He does a lot of graphic design classes with his students. And my sister, of course, you know, makes lots of handouts for her classes. Maybe not as many now that we're in the computer age, but she liked to use Comic Sans. And when she was first teaching, she was teaching middle school, and it just seemed like a fun font to her that the kids enjoyed. My brother, on the other hand, being in graphic designs, thought Comic Sans is, you know, the most ugly font ever, and it's kind of a hated font amongst designers. But he did say that the spacing between the different letters, which is my word of the week, and that word is kerning, is, I guess it's not the kerning that's good with Comic Sans, but each letter is totally different. So if you have somebody with a learning disability, they are less likely to flip letters with Comic Sans than they are with another font. And that's kind of nothing has been proven, and people argue that both ways. So Mary liked Comic Sans because it seemed youthful and fun, and Chuck hated it because it was ugly and just wasn't design worthy in his point of view. So anyway, back to the word. The word is kerning, and kerning is the actual space between letters in a font. And it won't be the same, like if you type A, B, C, D, E, the space in between each of those letters will be slightly different because of the shapes of the letters. If you did 1/10 of an inch on each one, some of them are going to appear to be further apart just because of the shape of the letters. So the kerning is that distance between letters. And that is my word of the week. Well, that is what I have for you today. Nothing too earth-shattering, but I really appreciate you all watching today and just coming into my little part of the fiber world. If you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. And love to see you back again. And hopefully that'll be in the next week at the most too. Thanks for watching. Bye.